You know, one thing I don't understand is why we have air conditioning on and the doors are open. Great question. And it happens all the time. Okay, we're ready. If we're trying to save money and environmentally, whatever. Okay, you guys have 1 minute to sit down. If I turn my iPad on before I sat down. Well, I'm going low tech. I'm using slidey. Yeah,
He's rolled up in a... I just happened to look up and see him sitting there. No, it's not. Don't you dare.
Good morning. It's July, and I'm going to be playing a piece called July that I think is particularly appropriate for a service that involves anxiety. This is Fanny Mendelssohn Hensel's take on, there's all these, this is something from Das Jahr, which is a piece of music for every month of the year, and there's a little bit of poetry for each one. And here's the poem. The meadows thirst for refreshing dew. Man is listless. And you'll notice some sort of trembling as this goes on.
Good morning. Welcome to Summit. I love sitting up here when I'm service associate. My name is Jenny Sarr. I always forget to say that. And I'm wearing purple today, and I have white hair. Looking out at everybody and seeing all these beautiful people with beautiful faces, the old people and the new people and the old people and the young people. And it really does fills me up. So thank you for joining us this morning. If you are new to Summit and you would like more information, please visit the website. You can find out more about us at summituuf.org. What's next? Prelude announcements. Announcements. Shannon and Aline have announcements, and also want to remind you that in the back, on the table in the foyer, are upcoming community events, so you can take that home and put it on your fridge.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Shannon Allen, and I am one of the auction co-chairs. If you haven't been to an auction, you should be excited. It's coming up the second Saturday in November, and there is a lot of partying and entertainment. A silent auction goes on a week before. There's raffles, a live auction at the event, food, drink. It is a lot of fun and camaraderie. Today I'll be announcing the auction theme. Are you interested? Yes. Oh, what's that? Oh, yes. Okay. So the gnomes wanted me to remind you that we need all of your mischievous help to make this a success. And that includes helping to solicit your favorite business. So also back on the table in the foyer, there is a piece of paper two-sided with a letter to businesses and a place to donate. And this year we have added a QR code so that they can scan and they can fill it out online. We would love your favorite business to be our favorite business, so please reach out. Oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, so the fairies wanted me to remind you that their fairy friends have been sending out letters in envelopes to businesses. And we still have a little bit to send out. We probably have about 70. I'll be in the library, so I'd love some people to come help me. We've already gotten some donations back, like the Mingay. We also have a new one this year that I was able to solicit online for the Whaley House Museum Day Tour. They sent like 8 tickets. So I'm really excited about that. And there's a lot of online solicitation that you can do on your own, and I would love some help with that. We need all our fairies involved. Oh, yes, I forgot. Thank you. Okay, the Pixies wanted me to remind you that imagination is a very big part of this whole creation of the auction to raise funds for the good that we do in our community. So please, everybody, a little bit of help here and there goes a long way. I look forward to seeing you at the auction called the Magical Fairy Garden.
Business donations are tax deductible, so let them know that. Anything they donate is tax deductible.
I think we're wings. I'm so excited.
You're wearing them right now.
Good morning. I'm Aline King, one of the members of the Social Justice Committee, and I just wanted to give you a heads up to plan your next week. We know the meeting is at noon, but we have a special guest coming from Western Service Workers to tell us about their work with low-income folks and also their strategies for all the immigration issues. So I invite you to join us. There's usually about 14 of us, but we have room for more. And if we have to move over here, I guess we could, because it's important to hear how our neighbors down on Imperial Avenue are working to help others. Thank you.
Thank you.
We wish to acknowledge that our fellowship resides on unceded Kumeyaay land, and that for 10,000 years this land has been and continues to be home to the Kumeyaay people. We recognize the violent history of the colonization of California and honor the continuing presence of the Kumeyaay Nation. Let's see, it's chalice lighting time, isn't it? All right. And I have the chalice lighting right here. So Aline is going to light the chalice for us. Thank you. For this 1 hour, spirit of life, we let go. For this 1 hour, we turn off our cell phones and put them away. Sorry. For this 1 hour, may we let go of our anxieties, our fears, our anger, our self-doubts, our regrets, our petty grievances, and our distractions. If only for this 1 hour, let the flame of this chalice burn them from our hearts and minds and light our way to peace and serenity for this one holy hour. Now what?
Congregational hymn.
Oh. I was just so enthralled with my reading that I...
That's a good problem to have.
Okay. Please rise as you're willing and able for our congregational hymn. The words, I think, will be on the screen.
Good morning, everyone. Ooh, full house today. My name is Reverend Casey Marie Pandell. I am the minister here at Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I am a 35-year-old woman with slightly shorter than shoulder length purple hair, wearing a black dress and a yellow stole with a chalice embroidered on one side and a heart embroidered on the other. It is my honor and my joy to serve here at Summit Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. Whether it is your first visit or your 5,000th visit, you are whole, you are holy, you are loved, and you are so welcome here. Our reading this morning are words from Heather Ryan Starr entitled, "I Am Not Alone, There Is a Love Holding Me." May I move gently through this cloudy, murky, gray time. May I remember that this is just one day, and that showing up is at least half of what is asked of me. May I set aside my underlying anxiety that I will not get to everything, and put my trust and faith onto the riverbank of human community, that we are working together. I am not alone. There is a love holding me that is unconcerned with my day's to-do list, and more concerned with my spirit's survival, even its thriving in this beautiful, challenging world. May we all remember that Rome wasn't built in a day, that our efforts are part of an ongoing stream of efforts, of lives being lived beside one another, shoring up this world. May what little I do today be for the greater good. May I be gentle with others today, for as long as I long for others to be gentle with me. May it be so. Welcome to worship. And please rise in mind, body, or spirit to join us in our first hymn, There Is Love, which is based off of the reading you just heard.
Good morning, everybody. So this is a song that we've never done before. For the first time through, Barbara and I are just going to sing it by ourselves. So you can go ahead and listen and follow along with the words. And then after we sing it through, Barbara will give us a beautiful piano interlude, and then we'll sing it through twice. Sound good? Beautiful. It'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding all. I rest in this love. There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. We rest in this love.
Thank you for trying that new song with us today. Now is our joys and concerns. Now is the time of sharing our joys and concerns. Our joys and concerns portion of our service is our opportunity to hold the big things happening in our lives and in our world together. Everyone is welcome to send a joy or concern via email or text message to myself or Stacy Sasaki, our worship chair, throughout the week. You can also write one up during at the beginning of the service at our chancel over here. Whether spoken or unspoken, everyone is encouraged and invited to light a candle. And we do have quite a few candles lit today. Mary Carter Vale, our Director of Religious Exploration, shares a joy and a sorrow, saying she just completed her 13th year as counselor trainer at Camp de Benneville Pines. It was a joy and a sadness, and is for all of the campers, all of the counselors, and for Mary to move into this new time. But there's a lot of excitement that comes with letting go of one thing and seeing what our babies do when we release them. So Mary, thank you for all of your service to Camp de Benneville Pines, and we are so excited about what will happen next. And all of the current counselors up there, trained by her, by the way. Eleanor, Jim, and Mary share the concern that one of their friends, who they have known for well over 35 years, is currently awaiting a heart transplant. So we hold your friend in our hearts and hope for swift resolution. We know transplants like that can be complicated for people, especially emotionally. Jenny shares the concern of blessings and relief to the hungry people of Gaza and Sudan. Shannon and Alan share, but likely everyone shares this concern with them, as do I. The flooding in Texas, the victims and the missing, especially the girls from Camp Mystic and their families who await word for what may be happening next. We know that tragedies like these happen, and we know it's hard to not look at the other side and say, we did this, you did this, and it's important to remember that in these moments, we hope that these children are safe. We hope if they are not, at least I hope that their passings were swift and fear-free as possible. And we know that these things happen, and they are part of the community bonds that hold us together and tear us apart. So in these times of uncertainty, when we know that there's increased climate change and concerns of things that will continue to happen, we know that coming together in these spaces, holding each other gently in our hearts, is the way that we move forward. We make space for the uncertainty and the grief, and spirit of life and love and all that is known and unknown, we ask for that is in the highest good for everyone involved. May those who await news be held gently in this time of liminal space. May blessings be upon the hands of the rescuers searching for these girls. And may we all find grace and peace in this time of uncertainty. Amen. And I would like to invite Mary Carter Vale to the pulpit.
What an emotional morning so far. Hi, how y'all doing? Oh, there we go. There we go. That's too loud. Slow it down. A little lower. There we go. Got it. Good morning. I just got back from camp last night, where I had the honor of doing my last time doing CIT training, counselor training. So I'm excited for the new counselor trainers who are taking over. I've worked with one of them for 3 years, and she's amazing. So I need to let it go, which is awesome. So I'm feeling a little stressed about that. Is anybody else feeling some stress today?
Yes.
Yeah, do you feel it in your body? Do you feel a little, one of the camp practices that we have is screaming at trees. So trees are wonderful because they breathe in CO2 and we breathe it out, and they make oxygen and we breathe it in, right? And so at camp we have, it's way up, those of you who've been there know we have these giant pines, ponderosa pines and sugar pines. And during senior high camp, not elementary, which was last week, there's a special little place that we go. It's a little circle of trees down by the creek, for those of you who've been there. And we usually go with a bunch of high school campers who are feeling a little tension, a little stress. And we do a little blessing for the trees, and then we say, we're going to give you our CO2, and we walk you the rest of the camp. The screaming at trees is going to commence because it gets a little loud. And then we just let it out in the woods, scream at the trees. And then once we feel that release, we go hug the trees and connect back with them. So, but I'm not going to have a scream at trees today because that will be loud. But I wanted to do a little body prayer or body meditation to release some tension. So if you'd like to stand, you can. You don't have to. But I want you all to just take a moment. Come on, Dylan, you want to help me? Here comes Mr. Dylan coming up. We're going to take a moment, and I want you all to squish your body up really, really tight. Feel it. Make every muscle strong and tight, and squish if you want to. Just let it all tight, and then release. Let it all relax. Did that help a little bit? Huh? Iona, the baby burped. All right, let's do it again. Let's squish up real tight. And then 1, 1, 2, 3, let it go. Shake it out a little bit. And I like to do things in threes. So let's do it one more time. Really squish it in. Feel all that tension, and just release. So if you need to scream at a tree, we have some in the parking lot. Just let us know so we don't think you're in danger. But anytime you need to do that scrunch and release or take deep breaths, there's a lot going on in the world that requires us to bring our full strength. And we also feel a lot of fear and a lot of tension and a lot of challenge. So those practices of body, I call it somatic practices, the body practices, can really help us and help tell our body that right now we're safe, when sometimes we feel really scared. So I hope you enjoyed my story for today. No, I'm Mary Carter Vale. Today I'm wearing blue flowers and a blue lacy thing, and I have gray and red hair, and about 60 years old. So we're going to go back, Dylan and Ayana and any other children want to come back, or adults, and we're going to do some painting and crafting a covenant. So I also have all the new books that I just bought from the UUA bookstore. We're going to go look at those too. So thank you for listening to my story. You're welcome to come back and look at books afterwards if you want to see what we got.
And I will not hold it against anybody if you want to go craft a covenant instead of sitting here today.
It's all good. So thank you very much for the story. And we're heading off to Ari. So if we do our song, Barbara. Yeah. One each person is worthwhile. Two behind in all you do. Three, help each other learn. Four, search for what is true. Five, all people have a say. Six, work for a peaceful world. Seven, the web of life's the way that will bring us back to me and you. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, so, do.
Yeah, a little more joyous singing today. Please join me in a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection as I read words from Douglas Taylor entitled Prayer for Resilience. I missed a hymn. Thanks for looking out, because I walked right by it. Please rise in mind, body, or spirit to join us in singing 101 in your gray hymnals.
Give me that kind of day.
Abide with me if fast falls the eventide, the darkness deep.
And now join me in a time of silent prayer, meditation, or reflection as I read Douglas Taylor's Prayer for Resilience. Gracious and loving God, from whom all things come and to whom all things return, we gather on the edge of another week, and for some of us, on the edge of our strength. We come buoyed by events of our week or weighed down by them, or we arrive in some paradoxical mix thereof. We are here in our Sunday assembly of hope and restoration. At times we come weary or worn down, and for some this is how we arrive today. At other times we come with questions, with a longing, or with something to offer. But for those who come today shattered, broken, lonely, and lost, let us offer our prayer of resilience. Again, this week we test the tender places in our hearts and in our lives to see what healing may occur. Gratitude is often a source of healing. We give thanks for the landscapes of grace in our lives, for music, for good companions, for the guidance of great principles and the examples of integrity around us. We give thanks for all that lifts us up and for lessons that lead us on. For the times when we are brought low by anxiety or adversity, show us the hidden wells of love we can tap into. Help us rise up once more, just once more. And once more again will surely be enough. Remind us we do not strive in vain, that we are part of a chorus, that resilience is in our bones, that peace will prevail the earth, and that healing and grace come like soft rain. Be thou an ever-present strength upon journeys, and teach us that in falling down we do rise again. We ask this in the name of all that is holy. In the name that of all that is holy within us, outside of us, around us, and because of us. May it be so. Amen.
You would like on today? Yes, perfect. Thank you. If you would like a direct lesson in anxiety, try reading your notes before the service and realizing that you can't read any of them. And some of them you wrote twice. It's been one of those weeks. I read one note and then read it again and went, what were you thinking when you wrote that? So one of the things I promised you I would do as I started my doctoral program, because I know you're all thrilled about me bringing all of my reading to you, but I promise this is a good one. There's a book we read for the class that I just took called Your 21st Century Church Family. I know it sounds riveting, but it's really good. And one of the things that Peter Steinke, who is a longtime, or was before he passed away a few years ago, he was a longtime church systems analyst. Again, I know it sounds riveting. Go with me on this one. When I talk about church systems, I talk about us. I don't talk about how the day-to-day stuff functions. I talk about the people who make it function. It's the idea of family systems. So everyone take a second to think about your nuclear family, the family you were raised with. That would be parents, siblings, grandparents, foster parents, whoever may have raised you and been integral in raising you and helping you become sort of the person that you are now. Think about that system. How much of that system defines or defined for a long time how you functioned in the world? If you can think of a time that it defined how it may have functioned for you, go ahead and raise your hand. Yeah. So this is what I talk about when I talk about family systems, because guess what? Churches have them too. Sometimes in more clear-cut and sometimes more difficult ways. Because when it's your family of origin, you don't always get to choose them, right? But we all get to choose each other. That's why we're here in this room together. One of the big things that Steinke talks about when he talks about family systems is how anxiety can rule or help in a system. And I want to be really clear that it's not just systems, because the way that anxiety functions within each of us also defines how we function in the system. Who thinks anxiety is a bad thing? Raise your hand. For those of you at home, I would say about half the room is raising their hand right now. Let's reframe anxiety a little bit. One of the things Steinke talks about is anxiety as an alarm bell. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's that little gut instinct we have that makes us go, ooh, I need to pay attention to that thing. So anxiety isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can just be, and often is the first time we have it for a situation, something that piques our interests and gets us to pay attention a little better. Now, of course, we have acute anxiety, which is the right now, and once that thing that makes us anxious is dealt with, the anxiety disappears. We also have chronic anxiety, which is there's always something, what's coming next? There's a lot of reasons why we have chronic anxiety. It's also not necessarily a bad thing. So if you are a little bit like me and something of an anxious being sometimes, because I will admit I can be terribly anxious, oh boy, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's more one of these things that we have to be mindful of, because chronic unchecked anxiety can make our relationships more difficult. They can, in a system like a church or a job community or like a 501c, anything like that, they can make relationships and functioning difficult. So when it comes to chronic anxiety, that body exercise that Mary did with us today was awesome. We used to call that big face, little face in theater classes. You scrunch up everything, and then that big release, including with your eyes and your mouth, just helps us feel like all of that energy has somewhere to go. So sometimes our acute, run-of-the-mill, everyday anxiety can be managed just with paying attention to ourselves. Now I'll admit, that's not always easy. I don't know how many of you actively sit down and go, oh, that hurts today. Oh, my back hurts. Oh, my head hurts, without actually having to sit down and really take stock. We don't normally do that as people. But one of the ways to help that acute anxiety is to just be present with ourselves. Sit back and ask ourselves, what's activating me? I can see some people starting to shift and stretch in their chairs. I love that. Just being mindful of ourselves in ways that we don't normally do. It's not typical for people to sit down and say, I'm going to think about how I'm feeling right now. I'm going to think about how my body feels. I'm going to think about how my heart feels. We don't have time for that. We have so many other things we have to get done. But it's the chronic anxiety that got me really interested when I was reading this book, because the way to treat chronic anxiety takes two sides. In a system especially, but even in relationships person to person, it takes the person with the anxiety and the person helping with the anxiety to do the work together. So they have to choose to do it together if it's going to be successful. And some of the ways that Steinke talks about it is really, really interesting. Because there's some of the things that I already do when I do pastoral care with all of you, even in just a regular conversation. Some of those things are like, we call it self-differentiation. So being able to know really clearly who I am and knowing really clearly who the other person is. Have you ever been in an argument situation with somebody and you have that little thought in the back of your mind that's, oh, my dad used to do that to me. Oh, my sister used to do that to me. That's when self-differentiation becomes really important, because that person's not your dad, they're not your sister, right? But you're still having that same reaction that other relationship would bring up. So that's where understanding your place in a system is really helpful. It takes knowing ourselves really clearly to be able to sit back and go, that's not about me. I've said a lot since I've been here, it's never just about the carpet. When there's a conflict about something that seems quote unquote silly, there's usually something else going on underneath that's coming up for us. It's never just, I don't like where we put the chalice. I don't like that portrait being there. There's something else underneath that we haven't identified. And that's where some of that self-differentiation gets really, really important, because we need to be able to understand that's their reaction to something and choose how to respond to it. Boundaries are so important when it comes to family systems, including in communities like this. Boundaries are not only necessary, but they're healthy. They help keep us good, they help keep each other good. It gives us the opportunity to say yes to the things that we're fired up about and to say no to the things that we know will make it harder for us to be present later. In family systems, it's the same thing. We have to be willing to set a boundary and sit with it. And we have to be okay when people set those boundaries with us, even if they make us a little anxious. One of the most important things that he talks about that I also learned in the interim class I took last year, what's mine, what's theirs, and what's ours. And that's a really hard part of systems work, especially in a situation when we're in a faith community where there's so many things that need to get done. There's this committee and that committee. There's this potluck that needs to be put on. There's the auction that needs to get put on. Who's supposed to do all of those things? That's something I struggle a lot with as the minister. Frequently throughout my week, I have to sit back and say, is this my job to do because I'm the minister, or am I doing the job because I need to make sure it gets done? Who else would love the opportunity to be a leader and do this thing if I can let it go? One of the hardest things for me to do still is to look around at this community and go, they can do this. They did it before I got here, and they can do it again because I trust you all and I know how much you love this community and how committed to it you are. It's on me to be able to sit in the balcony and look around and say, yes, that's my job as the minister. Oh, that's that committee's job to follow up with. Or, oh, this is Summit's as a whole. What's mine? What's yours? What's ours? And that's not to say, oh, that's my job, I'm not going to let somebody else do it. Or, oh, that's their job and I won't touch it. Again, boundaries are important. But it's about giving each other the grace and the space to figure out things as we go. Because I think that's really the heart of a lot of anxiety is, I don't know what happens next. Anybody who's been through trauma or grief understands that idea of when is the other shoe going to drop. We have had an amazing year here at Summit. We've grown, we see friendly new faces all the time, and yet I told my spiritual director a few weeks ago, I'm worried something's gonna go wrong. And she said, do you think that's some of your grief talking? And I went, ooh. Because the anxiety that comes up with having lost something before is still really deeply in my bones. And for me to manage my anxiety, to let you all grow and be the community that you deserve to be, I have to be aware of when those things are coming up in my work and preventing me from letting you do what's your part, or supporting you by doing what's mine. So when I bring these things to you, I promise I don't mean them to sound clinical. I really want to show you how this kind of work that sounds kind of heady, and probably not everybody, I know, systems theory, why does that sound fun to anybody? Maybe it does to a few of you, and I really appreciate that. Because for me, it was kind of like, huh. And then I actually experienced it in a really practical way. And it made so much sense. It made so much of what we do in these communities a lot easier to be curious about. And you know what? It's a lot easier for me to not sit here and think, I have to fix that. Because how much of everyday life can we actually fix? Not a whole lot, because that's not what life is, right? So being aware of how anxiety works in systems, how it works within me, and understanding what is the root of it, what is the spiritual part of it for me, where it starts making me uncomfortable, or I can see it start making someone else uncomfortable, that's the stuff that really starts getting in and makes it a really tangible, really soulful experience. The idea of looking at a system and going, how do we live into this together, is made a lot easier when we can actually experience it together. I don't love telling you all that I'm more anxious than I let on. And I don't love saying that I'm worried about things when I'm not here. But it's not you guys that I'm worried about. It's understanding my own anxieties and my own self-differentiation and understanding how I show up, or how I should be showing up, and maybe I'm not yet showing up in this system. So I hope that by sharing a little bit of my own perspective on it and how I feel about it, when it's really weird to look at your minister and go, I don't need to know you're anxious, please don't tell me that. I hope it also shows a little bit of vulnerability and understanding why even bringing systems theory to you all is important. Because we're in a really anxious time right now. Our government just passed a really scary bill that a lot of people nationwide are really worried about, with good reason. If this bill does the things that we've been told it will, people will lose access to health care. Hospitals are going to close. People will go hungry. It's really scary. So one of the best ways we can help ourselves through this continually tumultuous time, where every time you look at your phone, you never know if something has happened, understanding how anxiety works in our bodies, how it feels. Are our shoulders tight? Is my stomach upset? Does my head hurt? Understanding how our anxiety is showing up in these groups together. Oh, I just snapped at that person for no reason. I need to go apologize and take accountability for it. Understanding how that anxiety will continue to show up in our lives is the first step to understanding how we can treat the symptoms of anxiety, so we are not constantly burnt out being anxious all the time, because I have cried like 4 times this week because I'm so anxious about how things feel right now. And I'm never going to pretend that I'm not those things with all of you, because that's why we come into these communities together every week. We come to these places to be together, to treat these things together, because we are always, always, always better in loving, honest community. So may it be, and amen.
Thank you, Casey. It's now time for the offering. Whatever you are able to put into the little basket that's going to come around, however small, however large, it helps keep the air conditioning on these hot summer days, and the heating on in the wintertime, and pays salaries and keeps this community going. So no pressure, just whatever you may. Thank you.
So we just had July 4th weekend, and I always like to play an American piece for the 4th of July. But, you know, speaking of anxiety, it's been a very anxious time for me as a UU, and I'm thinking for probably most of us in this room. Thanks, Reverend Casey, for bringing that up. And I was thinking about, what American piece should I play this year? And I decided to play a blues piece written by wonderful classical composer Samuel Barber. And the spirit that I'm offering this blues in is sort of Mary's Screaming at Trees. That, wailing the blues is just, there's something that feels really healthy about that. Just letting out all your feelings, all your anxiety, and just putting it out there and not covering it up.
It's you. It's not me.
Alrighty, please rise in mind, body, or spirit and join me in singing hymn number 1012, When I Am Frightened, in the teal hymnal, please. When I am frightened, will you reassure me? When I'm uncertain, will you hold my hand? Will you be strong for me? Sing to
recognize the title of that sermon. The Eye of the Hurricane comes from Hamilton. And I don't think that song's about anxiety at all. It's about a lot of things. But I kept hearing that line in my head. In the eye of the hurricane, there is quiet for just a moment. And I think if we approach anxiety as the eye of the hurricane, a little quiet for just a moment, I think that's where we find the place that we can help ourselves to manage that anxiety spiritually, emotionally, physically, taking that moment to just breathe into that moment of silence, just a moment. So I hope as anxieties come up for you and for all of us in the coming hours, weeks, months, that we can take that moment to just breathe into it. Find the places that we feel anxious, because that gives us the opportunity to look at ourselves and each other with more grace, more kindness, more love, and more courage. May we all always find more grace, more love, more compassion, more courage. Amen, shalom, salam, ashe, namaste, and blessed be. Go now in peace. May the light within you be a blessing to the world.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Okay, we're going to sing our closing circle song and take a short break and return here for a discussion and then head on over and share food and community at the salon. Thank you for coming today.
You guys are home from a wonderful trip.
I'll be your cook.
It's almost too big.